They can obviously stick with Sam Darnold, or they can use the number 2 pick on a quarterback like Zach Wilson. Right now, you have the Jets trading out of the 2 spot, moving down to 4, so that would presume you're thinking they're going to move ahead solidly with Darnold. Why is that?
Zubin, I think you look at Kyle Pitts, tight end Florida, Devontae Smith, wide receiver Alabama, Jamar Chase, wide receiver LSU. You can get one of those 3 and also have your quarterback. If you go Zach Wilson, you lose those 3. And I would say you better love Zach Wilson a heck of a lot more than you feel good about Sam Darnold. So Sam Darnold better be a guy that you have major questions about. Zach Wilson, you better feel can be big time to make that move where you take the young quarterback, unproven, over a guy you know better than anybody and has had some success despite a terrible supporting cast, and you lose one of these 3 dynamic offensive performers that will make your quarterback, Sam Darnold, a heck of a lot better. It's really unfair for Darnold to go out there every week with limited players around, a limited supporting cast around him. And if you add one of these 3 tremendous prospects, you have helped him enormously.
Well, let me ask you this, though, Mel. If it's me and I'm running the Jets, I move out of the number 2 spot, I slide down, I pick up one of those big tackles, and I find a receiver that, or a tight end later in the draft, considering that position is somewhat deep, and we still need to protect Sam Darnold at the quarterback spot.
Well, Mekhi Becton, they drafted last year in the first round, left tackle. You're not going to find a Kyle Pitts in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round. He is so special and so much better than everybody else. That's why I went Pitts over Devontae Smith and Jamar Chase. I'm with you, Key. I think you can get wide receivers. I have 11 wide receivers with 2nd-round grades, 7 wide receivers with 3rd-round grades, with 5 going in the 1st round. That's 23 receivers in the first 3 rounds. So I get you. I'm with you on that with the wide receiver position, but I'm not in agreement on tight end. Kyle Pitts is what everybody wants and everybody needs. And I think when you look at what he would do to that Jets offense, got nothing from the tight end position, then you would really start developing talent. If Sam Darnold can't get it done once the talent improves, then you move on. But right now, how can you make a decision on Sam Darnold when he's had nothing around him? And he's had the mono and the injury with the shoulder. Okay, and he's still tried to gut it out. He's still really, I think, really a competitive kid. Say ultra competitive. Who knows? Is he a 10? Is he an 8? Bottom line is they know that better than anybody. They know his work ethic, his passion for the game, his football acumen. They, within that building, know that more than and better than anybody else. That's a decision they have to make coming up. Do you stick with Sam or do you move on to Zach Wilson, yet lose one of those 3 players I mentioned?
Yeah, Pitts is an interesting position at the tight end spot. As you know, Mel, the last time the Jets took a tight end that high, ouch, Kyle Brady, right? It wasn't, everybody wasn't gung-ho on that. You also have the 49ers trading up from 12 to 7, I'm assuming to grab Justin Fields is what you put down, or Trey Lance. Is that something that you believe they'll do?
I think they could. I think Justin Fields is going to go in that general area. I have him as the 2nd highest rated quarterback behind Trevor Lawrence. Some disagree with that. Some have him way down the line. 2 games, he didn't look the same as he did in 2019 against Indiana or Northwestern. I get that, but they had an interrupted season. They were dealing with COVID. They didn't know practice schedule. They didn't know who they were playing. It was not a normal season by any stretch, not even close. So I think for Justin Fields to play the way he did with all that pressure on him in that game against Clemson and Trevor Lawrence, and to play the way he did after what he did in 2019, that was enough to sell me on Justin Fields. And to me, you heard the same criticism I've said for the last couple weeks about Justin Herbert, Josh Allen. Look where they are. So if he's coached properly, goes to the right organization, and of course Kyle Shanahan would be the right spot, offensive-friendly coach, offensive-friendly system for a quarterback, I think it'll be a great spot for Justin Fields.
You have Trey Lance. Where would Trey Lance go if this was next year in 2022? He comes back to school. He could potentially be the 1st overall pick, but you got guys like Jaden Daniels out there at ASU at quarterback that'll probably enter the draft. Where would they stack up against one another?
Yeah, it's a great question, because I've talked about that. Sam Howell, North Carolina, is another really good one for Mac Brown. He'll be a true junior coming up, although you lose last year, so you can say sophomore, junior. But bottom line is, I thought Trey Lance, I would have suggested going to Texas with Sark, go to Ohio State, follow Justin Fields. play 1 year there in 2021, then in the 2022 draft, you would have been the #1 player overall, pretty much guaranteed. And I still think there would have been a chance, even had he played another year there, could have been a chance to be the #1 pick overall. So he's an enormously gifted player, only 20 years of age, only the one start this year, only 17 career starts. We talked about all that. That's why it's a little risky when you talk about the top 10, but talent will win out with Trey Lance. And like I said, if New England wants to make that move, or it's the 49ers, whoever it may be, Trey Lance will be a quarterback I think you really need to let sit for a year. We say that about everybody, and none of them do. They all play, right? They all play right away. But in Trey Lance's case, being only 20, coming from a 1AA program with only 17 starts and only one start this past season, I think you want to kind of ease him into the National Football League.
Mel, is that why you have the Patriots coming up to number 9 and selecting him in your mock draft? Is that the perfect fit for him with Bill Belichick?
I think so, Jay. I think, we talk about Jimmy G maybe coming to New England, all these different possibilities. New England's got to get a quarterback. I mean, they had dominated that division with Tom Brady. Now, Buffalo Bills with Josh Allen are set to dominate. The Jets are trying to figure out, is it Darnold, is it Wilson, whoever it may be. Same thing with Miami with Tua. And then you have New England. Who's their quarterback going to be? We don't know. But I think a great starting point would be one of these young quarterbacks. And they certainly, Mac Jones with that Saban-Belichick connection is the one interesting guy, because we know that. We know Mac Jones has a little Brady in him. When Brady was at Michigan, you see what Mac Jones has now. Very similar in terms of that pocket passer, great accuracy, competitor, super smart. So whether Saban, Belichick connection, look at all those Alabama, LSU players up at New England. That's why Mac Jones, I think, is certainly in the discussion in that room when Bill Belichick is trying to figure out who his quarterback's going to be.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.